Hey everyone! Today, we will make, from such a slide with tabular data, a beautiful, minimalistic, strict, but modern slide that will help you visually show information, attract additional investments for the development of your business or speak at a conference. We'll try to get it done in 20 minutes. Challenge accepted. Let's get started. Let's duplicate our first slide. To do this, we right-click on the thumbnail and select Duplicate Slide. You can also do this with the Ctrl-D keyboard shortcut. Now, to set the borders of our slide, turn on the guides. To do this, we go to the View tab and in the Show menu, turn on the guides. Now, with the Ctrl key held down, I left-click to drag the vertical guide to the left border to a value of 15. We will set exactly the same border on the right side. 15. We drag the horizontal guide to the top border to the value 8. And we will set exactly the same value at the bottom border of our slide. I do all this with the left mouse button while holding down the Control key. Ready? We have marked the boundaries of our slide beyond which we will not place our content. So, let's put our table a little aside for now and work with it later. Now let's take a look at the title of our slide. Here we will leave only the most important information that we want to tell our viewers about, which is for 2 years, the dynamics of clicks on the query beauty industry has grown 4 times. We can delete the rest. Select all the text in the block with its Ctrl-A key combination. In the font menu, select Acrobat Black and increase the font using the Increase Font Size button. Let's increase the borders of the text block so that all the information fits in 2 lines and does not go beyond the borders of the slide. Increase the font using the Increase Font Size button. Great! Let's align our text to the guides using the arrow keys. I want to highlight the information in our header, which I want to draw special attention of the audience to, that the dynamics of requests has grown 4 times. For this I select it with the left mouse button and select red in the font color menu. Now let's work with our data from the table. To do this, select the data of the left mouse button and use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-C to copy it to the clipboard. Next, go to the Insert tab and in the Illustrations menu, select the chart item. In the window that opens with different types of charts, select Line, leave the first type and press the OK button. Now a chart has been inserted on our slide and an Excel table has opened, in which we will enter our copied data. Stretch the window with the left mouse button around the corner. Here I select all the values with the left mouse button and delete them with the Delete key. Great! Now with the keyboard shortcut, I paste our copied data. With the left mouse button, I hold down the blue square and stretch it to the border with the data that needs to be reflected in the chart. We close the Excel table A and see the resulting chart. Let's immediately delete all the objects in the diagram window to make them ourselves after. To do this, I left-click on the object and delete it with the Delete key. Delete chart area on the left, plot area at the bottom of the chart. Legend entry and vertical grid lines. This is the chart we have. We stretch the borders of the area with the diagram with the left mouse button to the left and right guides on the slide. And raise the borders from the bottom. I right-click on the chart and select Format Data Series from the pop-up menu. In the window that opens on the right, I go to the Fill and Line tab in the Width parameter and set the size to 2 points. I choose red and turn on the Smooth Line parameter below to make the diagram smoother, without sharp corners. In the original table, some rows were additionally highlighted. In order to mark them on the chart and quickly find these values, we will turn on their display. To do this, click once with the left button on our diagram. In the Design tab that opens, in the Chart Layouts menu, we left-click on the Add Chart Element item and then select Data Labels from the list. For the convenience of working with the diagram, so that we can see it, but it does not interfere with us when adding various necessary elements to the slide, we will take it out and fix it in the background. To do this, I select the diagram with the left mouse button, cut it from the slide with the Ctrl-X keyboard shortcut. Then I go to the View tab in the Master Views menu and select the Slide Master item. Here, using the Ctrl-V key combination, I paste the copied diagram and close this window. Now the diagram is fixed, we cannot select it, which means it will not interfere with our further work, but it is fully displayed on the slide. Great! Next, we need to label the key months, data, and draw lines that will help a person visually match the date with the value on the chart. To do this, we select the line object in the drawing menu. Hold down the Shift key and draw a line. In the width parameter I set 1 pint, type and choose a gray color for it. Now, with the left mouse button, I move it to the beginning of our diagram. To sign the key months, select the text box tool in the drawing panel and left-click in an arbitrary place. Write May 2021. Select all the text with the Control A keyboard shortcut, make it center align. Use the font Acrobat and increase size up to 20. I hold down Control Zooming with the mouse wheel and I place our text exactly in the center relative to this line. Holding down the Shift key, with the left mouse button, I drag the line up so that it does not intersect with our text block and reduce it a little from above. Now let's make a beautiful marker that will be placed on our chart at key values. To do this, on the drawing panel, I select oval and hold down the Shift key and draw a circle of the required width. Let's make it a little bigger first. We select the no line values for it, the color is red, but let's choose a slightly less bright shade. For this we select the More Colors item. In the Custom tab, move the slider with the left mouse button up to the shade we need, click OK. Amazing! Let's draw another circle. In the same way on the drawing panel, I select oval and hold down the Shift key and draw a circle of the required width. Here we select the parameters, white line color and red fill color. Let's move it to our first circle. Now, with the left mouse button, I select both circles and in the Format tab, in the Arrange panel, I select Align, then Align Middle. Now everything is the same, but Align Center. I group our objects with the Ctrl-G key combination and now with the left mouse button I drag the resulting marker to the intersection of the diagram and the line. Now we will make labels for markers on the diagram with values from the table. To do this, we select the rectangle rounded corners object from the drawing menu, and create something like this rectangle. Next, we need to set the following settings. Firstly, no line, and secondly, in the Effects tab, we need to add a shadow to it. We select any shadow from the blanks, because we will still change all the parameters now. Transparency is about 79 to 80%, other dimensions can be left the same. Let's choose a white fill color and we have a great object to place on it the labels for the markers on the diagram. Holding down the Control key, with the left mouse button I copy the text block. Now let's stretch its borders, remove unnecessary indents so that the text is on one line and transfer it to our object. I select them with the left mouse button and in the Format tab, in the Arrange panel, I select Align, then Align Middle. Now everything is the same, but Align Center. And with the left mouse button I drag the object to the marker on the diagram. So back to our table. From here we take the value 3882 for May 2021. With the Control key pressed, I simultaneously reduce the left and right borders of the object. Using the Ctrl-G keyboard shortcut, I group our objects into one and now I drag it to the marker on the diagram. I want to change the line a little. To do this, I select it with the left mouse button. I choose the item Gradient Line. With the left mouse button, I click on Gradient Stop and drag it down, thereby removing it from the panel. For the left gradient stop I choose gray, for the right, white. Now by moving the gray gradient stop to the right we make the bottom edge of the line barely visible. Great, I like this look. Now let's select all our elements with the left mouse button, line, marker, month name and value from the table. We will copy them to the next value from table 9528. Holding down the Shift Control keys to copy the object exactly horizontally. Great. Holding down the Shift key, move the marker to the intersection with the diagram, move the text block to the marker and change the value to 9528. The next value is 12446. Copy our elements by holding down the Shift Control keys. Raise the marker to the intersection with the diagram. We didn't copy the object with values from the table. I hold down the Control key and with the left mouse button drag the adjacent object to copy it. We write the value 12,446. The next value is 11,407. We do the same procedure for copying elements. Select the elements, hold down the Shift Control keys and copy. We change the numerical value and, with the Shift key held down, move the marker. The next value on the chart is October 2022. Copy elements. Change value. Let's separate the order of numbers with spaces to make it clearer. Raise the marker. Here I will also add a space in the value. Let's do this for the rest of the text blocks with values from the table. The last point on the chart is January 2023. Let's copy the elements for it. Let's immediately change the value to 17,926. And now we raise the marker to the intersection. Great. It remains to change the name of the months and years from the bottom for our values. The latest value is January 2023. For a value of 13,562, this is October 2022. It's June 2022 here. Further December. And August 2021. Now, so that these elements do not interfere with work, let's select them with the left mouse button. Let's combine it with the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-G, and now we will cut it from our slide with the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-X. Next, go to the View tab in the Master Views menu, select the slide master item. Here, using the Ctrl-V key combination, paste the copied elements and close this window. Let's now make a cool and eye-catching gradient for our chart. To do this, on the drawing panel, select the Freeform Shape tool and then we need to see the entire diagram at the same time. We click and click on the left mouse button to create a figure that will practically repeat our diagram. Here I'm holding down the Shift key to make a perfectly straight vertical line, and here I'm also holding down the Shift key, and now I'm closing our shape. Click on it with the right mouse button, select Format Shape in the pop-up menu and select the value No Line and increase the transparency of the shape for ease of use. And immediately we will choose our necessary red color for it. Now let's move the screen closer to the shape in order to edit it. We click on it with the right mouse button and select the item Edit Points. We have control points on the diagram, with which you can edit it. Holding down the left mouse button, we can move the reference point to the diagram. And by holding these elements, adjust the necessary curvature of our figure so that there are no white areas between it and the diagram. Let's get on with it. Move the key points to the diagram line and drag to adjust the curvature. The more carefully you do this procedure, the more beautiful the result awaits you. Therefore, do not be lazy and do everything as carefully and accurately as possible. Ready. The resulting figure completely repeats our diagram. Let's choose a gradient fill for it. Let's choose red and white colors for the right and left borders. In the direction parameter, select the direction of the fill. Now for the left gradient, stop with red color, set the value of transparency almost to the maximum. Here we have such a figure with a stunning gradient fill. Let's add some horizontal guides to our slide. To do this, we select the line object in the drawing menu, hold down the Shift key and draw a line in the center of our slide and select gray for it. Now holding down the left mouse button and Shift, Control move it up and copy it. Now let's do the same at the bottom. And another copy. Great. We have an almost finished diagram. It remains to add a few small details. First, we go to the View tab. In the Master Views menu, select the slide master item. We return all our elements to the slide. To do this, select our objects, press Ctrl X to cut them and return to our slide. Here we paste them with the keyboard shortcut Ctrl V. Secondly, we will remove already unnecessary elements with data from the diagram. To do this, I left-click on one of the items and press Delete. Thirdly, we will highlight our last value in the diagram 17,926 with color. Ungroup the elements with the Ctrl-Shift-G keyboard shortcut, select the value with the left mouse button and select the font Acrobat Black. Let's move the text block with the value down a bit. With the left mouse button, select a rectangle, the color is red. Now for the text block, select the No Fill option and move it into place. Set the font color to white. Let's take a look at the result. Great, I really like it. But I want to add one more small element to show the dynamics and growth of values on the chart. To do this, we will go to the flaticon.com website and here in the search bar, enter the word rocket. Select the color and fill options. Now let's find the rocket that we like the most. This one. Click on the Download PNG button, then Free Download. Be sure to include the attributes of the author of this illustration. Now I'm dragging the rocket onto our slide. With the left mouse button holding down the Shift key, in order not to distort the proportions, I reduce the size and transfer it to the diagram. I delete the marker, reduce the size of the rocket a little more and unfold it. Let's move our block with values a little to the side so that there is free space. Let's take another look at the result. So, friends, today we made an attractive, minimalistic, modern slide. Learned how to create beautiful diagrams in PowerPoint. Learned about gradient and shadow settings and much more. If this is your first time on this channel, make sure you subscribe, share with your friends and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get notified. Well done for watching this video to the end. Hope to see you in the next video and thanks for watching.